Well, good morning, our beloveds. It is another gorgeous day here in Santa Fe, and our another is doing some self-care this morning. And we decided to come through, and to share what self-care really looks like. It is not getting your toes done. It is not going out for your favorite meal. That is good, that is nice, but it is not self-care per se. Self-care is where you do something that touches your heart. When you slow down enough to be in the moment and to really recognize what your needs are. And it need not be all of them, just a single one. When somebody doesn't treat you well and it hurts your heart, your natural response is, why am I not good enough? Or fuck that asshole, right? It's one of the two ends of the spectrum. But why not just sit there and put your hand on your heart and say, oof, that did not feel good. I am so sorry that happened. I am so sorry that person treated you in a way that just felt awful. You do deserve better. Let's just sit with this right now and feel it and kind of figure out why it doesn't feel so good. Not because the other person did anything wrong per se, but because it didn't land well within our own body, within our own spirit, within our own heart. What can I do right now to show up for myself? Well, the first thing is, I just really want to offer myself compassion and say, I see you, I feel you, I hear you. And it doesn't feel good when somebody treats us this way. And maybe it's personal and maybe it's not. Meaning maybe they did it with intention to harm us. Or maybe it was just a side snarky comment that reflects more where they're at and has little to do with us, if that makes sense. Because we're now being taught nothing is personal. Well, no, sometimes it is personal. Sometimes some people say things that are intentionally designed to harm you, and that is personal. So stop saying it's not personal. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But what is most important is, how does it make you feel? And why does it make you feel that way, right? I don't care to be disrespected. I don't care to be talked over. I don't care to be dismissed. I don't care to be yelled at, told I'm stupid, or some other really awful criticism. I don't care for how that person looked at me. It was really rude and disrespectful. I don't care for how that person just mid-sentence turned around and walked away from me. It doesn't feel good. And just put your hand on your heart and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened. Sometimes people don't behave well, and it's not okay. It's an and. Some people misbehave, and it's not okay. So what can we do about it? You and me, you and my heart, right? What can we do about it? Well, we can first acknowledge, this doesn't feel good. I don't like this. I don't want to have a repeat of this. Okay. So now what are our options? What are our options? Well, that's a little scarier because now I got to show up for myself. I got to do something. Well, one option is to do nothing. Doing nothing is an option. But that also means that it's more likely to happen again. So it's not proactive, right? It's just reactive. Well, what's another option? I can just simply choose to walk away, say no more, and I'm just done. But it also doesn't really resolve anything within your own inner being, does it? Right? Walking away doesn't establish what you're willing to put up with and what you're not. Right? Because if you walk away, you may receive the same treatment from somebody else and go to that same place of hurt of, oh my God, this just doesn't feel good. Okay, so now let's look at, well, if you're going to walk away, what can you marry with that? Well, you do your inner work. You say, okay, this is why it didn't feel good. I feel like this person doesn't take me seriously, doesn't treat me as an equal, doesn't like who I am. There can be a lot of reasons why people treat you that way. Or it's just their own inner compass. This is just who they are. But what can you do within yourself so that the next time this comes up, you have a different narrative. You don't go to that wounded part that says, oh my God, this really hurts, right? What can you tell yourself in this moment with your hand on your heart? You deserve better. You do deserve to be treated differently. You do deserve people, places, things, experiences that help you to grow, which sometimes means people being unkind, and you doing that inner work to figure out why it hurts. But what can you do internally to change your narrative? Well, if you say, why does this always happen to me? Well, where is your power in this game? Where are you giving your energy away? Do you continue to be in relationship with people who don't treat you well? When it's not okay, well, what power, what control, what measures do you have within your control? You can't control their behavior, but you certainly can say, I don't like this. And you can share that with them at some point, or with others. If you walk away from one person, you can just embody what it looks and feels like to be in conversation with somebody. So for example, a person harms and hurts you and you walk away, but you do your inner work, right? You really know who you are. You explore who you are. So the next time a different person with a similar message speaks to you that way, well, what can you do to represent yourself in that moment? You can look that person square in the eye and say, that doesn't feel good. And I don't allow people to talk to me that way. So you've got two choices. You can apologize, right? Or you can just go away because that doesn't work for me. Well, that's still a little bit controlling in certain ways, right? Because you're controlling the situation. It's a natural response for humans to go to. The other option is just to simply say, I don't appreciate being talked to that way. It really doesn't feel good. And I don't allow people in my life who talk to me that way. I don't. And then you can just look at them and see what they say. And you can also say, I also walk away from people who talk to me that way because while I can't control your behavior, I certainly can control who I allow into my life. So I'm just sharing this with you so you understand what my expectations are for people who are in my life. And then you can just be quiet and see what they say. Do they get defensive? Do they get angry? Do they apologize? Or do they just look at you with deer caught in headlights gazes, right? What is their response? You cannot control the behavior of others. You can set standards for what you will allow and what you won't. And you can always take care of your own heart. When somebody harms you, you can self-soothe. You can honor and acknowledge that was not okay. There are people out there who are dysregulated, who are unkind, who don't even realize that what they're saying is hurtful because this is how they were imprinted in their childhood. But that does not mean that you need to allow them into your lives. When do you get to say, this is not good enough? I get to set the standard. Now with your children, it's a little different, right? Because your children have a different relationship with you. And so with your children, because you are here to teach them and to mentor them, you can then teach them through language, kind words. Oh, honey, that really didn't land well within me. That really hurt. I don't think you meant to hurt me, but I want you to know how this is feeling right now. And I don't like it. And I'm here to kind of model for you what kindness looks like. So can you share with me what's going on in your inner world? Like, why did you feel the need to say that in that way? Because I know you love me and I know you don't like to be unkind. What's going on? Let's dig into that, because that behavior was not okay, but I know you and I love you and I'm not going to judge you and I'm not going to shame you. What do we need to talk about? I'm here for you. Can you see how with different people you take different approaches? You could take somewhat of a similar approach that one takes with a child, with a lover, but it needs to be adapted because you're not their mentor, you're their lover. But finding a gracious way of honoring self, respecting self, and showing up for self matters. And then there are those people who have brain difficulties where they literally and figuratively are unable to control their behavior or their response. And asking somebody with that type of a limitation to meet your needs is unfair because they are not in control of what they're doing. They can see maybe the hurt that they're causing, but it is not of their doing, if that makes sense. And we need to be kind and respectful to those individuals who are struggling with their own inner traumas, where they are completely unaware of what their behavior is doing to you because it's not even within their own control. Think dementia. Think particular tics, right? There are certain body, brain, emotional responses that come from places within the brain that are not within the control of those individuals. And we must offer them grace, because how we treat the least amongst us represents who we really are. So this is our message today from Spirit on how to show up for self, what self-care at its core really looks like. And when your body says, I want a piece of chocolate, you're craving it, you can put your hand on your heart and say, let's go get a piece of chocolate. Or, well, honey, you're diabetic. Let's figure out a different solution to soothe and satiate that desire within you. But I feel you. You need a little love right now. Does that make sense? The craving for something is because your body is seeking to be seen and loved from within. And sometimes the only endorphins that are offered are from the exterior world, because we have forgotten to put our hands on our hearts and to say, I see you, I hear you, I love you, I am you. Believe in your ability to heal yourself by just offering yourself some compassion, some self-compassion, and finding a way to honor what is really going on in your inner world, even if it's rage and anger. Feel it. Let it bubble up, because it is time. It is time to integrate body, mind, and soul. Finally, you guys have left the Holy Trinity, if you will, and it's time to reunite all of those aspects to become whole, to become one, to become members of the collective consciousness in a more meaningful way, where you are aware of what you are spreading, whether it is hatred or love. Because once you have that awareness, you will begin to naturally change how you interact with the world. You won't necessarily have to slap somebody to get your point across. You can just simply put your hand on your heart and just look at them and lovingly, as much as possible, say, yeah, that's not going to work with me anymore. Thanks. And turn around and walk away. That's it. That's all you need to do if you want to be a loving expression. And sometimes a slap is appropriate, because when their behavior is unsafe or is unkind, and that is what is needed to stun them so you can get away and get to safety, then that's what you do. There is no singular expression of love to others. There is no singular expression. Sometimes slapping someone, as described, is the safest and most loving thing you can do for yourself. And when you love yourself, you are loving the other, if that makes sense. But it can't be self-deprecating love. It has to be honest and integrous love, where you show up for yourself in a way where you finally feel safe by being you, authentically you, even in expressing anger or fear. It is okay to be human and to have the full range of human emotions. Just don't get stuck in any one of them, even the joy and the happiness. Allow yourself that full range of emotions, because that, our beloveds, that is what being human is all about. To feel the full spectrum of what is available so that you can explore what being alive feels like for others to see and experience as well. So we shall leave it there today. And so it is. Namaste.